Hey there, people. So today I am bringing you my Eye of Cthulhu Expert and Normal Mode Boss Fight Guide. This is the first in a new series where I'm going to cover every boss in the game in complete detail. So this is going to include preparations, gear, and strategies that are suitable for Expert, but of course you can also apply this to Normal Mode. You just really don't need to do all of this stuff for normal mode. So where there are differences between normal and expert, I will explain that. Where there are differences between game versions, I will explain that as well. So first let's talk about the boss itself, spawning the boss, basic behaviors and such. Then I'm going to talk about armor and weapons, other preparations and gear. Finally, I'm going to do the fight itself. This is an expert mode world, and I'll talk about the drops that the Eye of Cthulhu drops when you defeat it at the end of the video after I've done that. So first of all, the Eye of Cthulhu spawns after at least one player has at least 200 health points, which means you need to get some heart crystals to get that far. Also, it has once the player has at least 10 defense, and there are at least 3 NPCs living in houses. So if you aren't ready for the Eye of Cthulhu yet, just get as far as like 180 health points with your heart crystals, and then you can actually stockpile the rest. And as long as you don't actually get to 200 yet, it won't automatically come to try to kill you. So you can actually save up your heart crystals until you've geared up and you're ready to go. You can also summon it manually via the suspicious looking eye item. That's this one right here. And you can either find that in chests, or you can craft it from 6 lenses at a demon or crimson altar. The Eye of Cthulhu will only spawn at night and will not spawn naturally if all the players are underground. So if you get that message and you're not ready to fight it, if you have a hole to hide in, you can run underground. Go underground, and as long as all the players are underground, it won't actually come, in case there's more than one player playing in your world. The Eye of Cthulhu has 2,800 health points in normal mode, or 3,640 in expert. In expert multiplayer, the bosses will get extra health as well for additional players, but that's the basic level. There are 2 stages to this boss fight. So initially the Eye of Cthulhu will come as a giant eye, of course, and it will float kind of above you, spawning servants of Cthulhu, which actually look kind of like this. They're basically smaller, weaker demon eyes that you see at night. And in expert mode, of course, it will spawn more of them. These servants of Cthulhu will drop hearts and mana stars when you kill them, which makes the first stage a little easier to survive. The only time that a sword will be useful really is probably in the first stage to swat away or kill the servants of Cthulhu, because in the second stage it's going to be charging at you, and so a sword is probably not the approach you're going to want to take. So second stage, the eye sheds its pupil in favor of a giant mouth and charges at you. As I say, it transforms in normal mode when it hits half health, or in expert mode, it's when you take off about a third of its health. 65% left is when it will transform in expert. So it transforms sooner, and it also has higher defense in expert mode, because in normal mode it actually goes down to 0 defense. It does have 12, I believe, before that, but the expert stats are a little different. So it takes a moment to transform, to shed its pupil and all that, and it spins kind of in place, which is a great opportunity to cause some damage. In normal mode, in the second phase, it will charge at you 3 times and then pause, which again gives you an opportunity to do a little damage. In expert, it will charge those 3 times initially, and then it will have this faster sort of dash charge, which of course is scary and dangerous, and the more you hurt it, actually, as the health is depleted, it will dash faster and faster. Eventually it will basically just be doing this really fast dash over and over again as it gets down to very low health. So let's talk about gear. In terms of armor, you are going to want a fully matched set of armor to get your bonuses, whether it's an ore-based one with a defense bonus or what. Silver or tungsten armor is good enough, probably, especially in normal mode. but you may want to go for gold or platinum if you want the extra defense. Problem with gold and platinum is it takes a long time to get, so usually I skip those personally. Jungle armor is also an option for magic users, but again takes some time to get, and the underground jungle is of course dangerous, so that's a tough one. Meteor armor is a good option if you want to get geared up a little further than your ore-based early on armors. All you need to do really is break a Shadow Orb or Crimson Heart, go down into the Corruption or the Crimson and just break one, and then wait for a meteor to spawn. Often you'll get one the first night, not always, but you have a certain chance each night after that. And once a meteor comes and hits the ground and you can find it, you can mine that meteor, which is not that easy in itself either. You might want an obsidian skin potion to save you from the burning sensation. But the great thing about the meteor armor is it has about the same defense as the gold armor, but you can also craft a space gun to go with it. And if you have the space gun with the meteor armor only, you get free unlimited ammo, and it's a piercing weapon. So the space gun's a good option for the first stage of the fight. I'm going to show you that. I am wearing meteor armor here, and everything that I'm going to use is stuff that you can get before this boss fight. So just to let you know, I'm not gearing up like super. I'm going to tell you stuff that I'm not even going to bother with, but on the updated platforms, you can also use fossil armor or ninja armor with throwing weapons. Throwing weapons are actually decent for this boss fight because it's the first or one of the first that you're going to face. It's a pretty early one, so you can use throwing weapons. And speaking of weapons, you probably want to keep a little bit of a distance, which is why throwing weapons are a good option among a few others. So throwing weapons like shurikens that you'll get, that you'll find early on, throwing knives, and if you happen to venture underground, you can get javelins. I've put some of those here. So those are particularly good against the first stage because they will go through not only the eye itself, but they'll help you kill those servants of Cthulhu. You can also, in terms of throwing stuff, you can use grenades and Molotov cocktails. You'll have to be a little careful with the grenades, you don't hurt yourself, but Molotov cocktails can also be very effective. Even if you happen to fight a goblin army first, which is somewhat unlikely, but if you do, spiky balls on the floor along the ground, as long as you're not running along the same ground because you don't want to hurt yourself. But yeah, spiky balls can also be a good option. I'm not going to use those, but speaking of, I mentioned the jungle set, but actually a thorn chakram or an Amazon yo-yo might be a better use of jungle ingredients if you have them. Again, those jungle ingredients, because you have to go well underground to get the stuff you need, they're not easy to get, but those are probably the best melee weapons that you have readily available at this stage of the game, or somewhat readily available. Also, if you can get the rally yo-yo, that yo-yo is an okay option as well. The Amazon's more powerful though. And again, of course, the yo-yos are only available on the updated platforms. That Thorn Chakram though is available on all versions. So as I mentioned, the space gun for the first stage is a good option with the the meteor armor, because that's a magic set. The space gun uses a lot of mana otherwise, but if you have the meteor armor, it's a good combination. Speaking of other magic though, diamond and ruby staffs are workable. They're decent. Vile Thorn or Crimson Rod, if you're a little bit more ambitious, you can get those again by smashing one of those orbs. You have a good chance of getting one of those. You probably don't want to smash too many orbs if you're just going to fight this boss, because if you smash 3 orbs, you're going to have a much tougher boss. But those are some of the magic weapons, and also you can get the water bolt potentially if you can find it close enough up to the dungeon entrance at the surface, because again, obviously Skeletron's going to be a lot harder than this boss, so you're not going to want to venture down into the dungeon yet, but if you can find it near the surface without going down very far and getting killed by the dungeon guardian, the water bolt, of course, is going to be an awesome option. In terms of ranged weapons, the paintball gun, which I told you how to get in my NPC drops guide, you can murder your painter and you have a chance of getting a paintball gun. That's actually an okay option. It's not very powerful, but it's free ammo as well. The snowball cannon is a decent option. It is actually possible, again, to get real guns like the musket, the mini shark, the sand gun, and even the star cannon. It is possible to get those, again, if you go and smash one of those Shadow Orbs or Crimson Hearts. And of course those are going to be powerful, but the best easy recommendation I can make is a decent bow. So gold or platinum bow is pretty well ideal. Lesser than that might not be effective enough, and of course that's probably about the highest you're likely to be able to get if you're doing this boss fight, if you're at that early stage of the game. But a good bow, like a gold or platinum bow with the proper arrows, what you want is probably Jester's arrows, particularly in the first stage, and or I recommend Frostburn arrows, of course, absolutely. But the Jester arrows are going to be good in the first stage to help you kill those Servants of Cthulhu, as well as hitting the eye itself. And the Frostburn arrows are going to be good through the whole thing because they inflict that extra Frostburn debuff. You can also craft unholy arrows if you're in a corruption world, only if you're in a corruption world. Flaming arrows will work okay too. They're not quite as good, but they might do. In terms of other preparation, while I've been wandering around this little arena, and this is a very basic arena, obviously, you just need a basic arena in expert mode. If you're in normal mode, you probably just need a flat area, frankly. But in expert, you're probably going to want a basic arena like this. And really all you need to do is focus on mobility. You're going to want levels of platforms. You might want them closer together so you can simply jump one to the other. What I chose to do is make some stairs so that I can run up and down quickly. It's up to you how you want to create that. And I even put ropes on the sides so that I can kind of grab on the way down or use them on the way up. But, you know, I'm not saying this arena is ideal at all, but this is something I put together so that I can just run around quickly, and that's all you really need. You just need to be able to move around quickly and dodge the attacks. So other things that are going to help are things like this campfire here, heart lantern. If you're using anything magic-based, you'll want your star in a bottle. And you can also actually put in a sunflower. I didn't do that. If you put in a sunflower, that'll actually give you a little bit of a speed bonus from the happy buff, I believe it is. In terms of, you can also use buff potions, of course. Those will certainly help. Not necessarily absolutely necessary, but buff potions will certainly help, such as early ones you can make easily. Iron Skin, regeneration, maybe swiftness. And in expert mode, you will want some kind of food for the well-fed buff. So just to show you the gear I've got, full meteor set. As I say, I've got Iron Skin, regeneration, swiftness. I even put together archery potion because I am planning on using the bow and arrow, and shine potion just so that you guys can see a little easier. You don't need that. But I also have bowl of soup for the well-fed buff because I am an expert. And of course, accessories can help as well. Again, focusing mostly on mobility. So things like cloud or sandstorm or blizzard or tsunami in a bottle. Any of those things in a bottle that give you the double jump. So I've got a tsunami in a bottle. Also a pair of boots that allow you to run, such as the Hermes Sailfish or Flurry boots. Again, particularly on expert because you're going to want to be able to move quickly. And Shark Tooth Necklace, if you're on an updated platform, that will help. That basically takes down the boss's defense. So that's helpful as well. You get that from Blood Moons. Again, only on the updated platforms, that particular one. And Band of Regeneration, if you can find one, obviously helps as well. Another thing that can help is actually the Slimy Saddle. So I do have one of those. Oops, wrong button. There we go. So I can use this slime mount, and the slime mount actually you can jump and bounce on the boss's head, and that will actually do a fair bit of damage. And the only thing about that is that the slime mount only negates half of your fall damage, and obviously jumps very high, and you're going to be bouncing. So you may want something to negate fall damage, which is what I've got, Lucky Horseshoe here. Alternatively, you know, even a shackle is going to help a little bit with your defense. So those are some of the things that you can use, and you know what? Yeah, it's actually, if anything, I'm rather late at this point to start the boss fight, but let's do it. So I've queued up a whole bunch of, oh, and I should do my buffs. I was talking about buffs. kind of important that I actually use them as well. And the slimy saddle is also good for the mobility if you have it, if you can get it. It's not strictly necessary, but it doesn't hurt. And I'm not going to lie, I mean, I'm not necessarily a great player so much as I focus on just the preparation. So that's what I'm trying to help you all with. I'm obviously not like wonderful at dodging. So I should probably actually try to show off this part where I can bounce. Oh, this is a good opportunity to do that, actually. Oh, except that we have too many of those guys left. Okay, so this is where it starts to get scary on expert mode. And obviously a grappling hook and other things that will help your mobility. Again, that's the major thing, actually. Yeah, that's the super fast dashes that I was talking about, and that's going to get a lot worse. And that's why I have my lucky horseshoe. This is where I may want to switch to my crossburn arrows, if I can do that without dying. Because you can see I'm doing that extra damage, the debuff. It's getting some constant damage there. And at this point, of course, it becomes very difficult to hit. But there you go, I managed, and I'm not dead. And all that preparation obviously paid off. So that's how you do it. So let's talk about the drops. So you will get 3 gold coins, 30 to 87 of either Demonite or Crimtane ore, depending if you're in a Corruption or a Crimson world. Likewise, 1 to 3 either Corrupt or Crimson seeds, 5 to 15 lesser healing potions. If you're in a Corruption world only, you'll get 20 to 49 unholy arrows, and you have a 1 in 7 chance of getting the Eye of Cthulhu mask, 1 in 10 chance of getting the Eye of Cthulhu trophy, a much smaller 1 in 40 chance of getting the binoculars, which basically just let you look around a little. That's an accessory. That chance increases to 1 in 30 if you're in expert mode to get those binoculars. And of course, if you are in expert mode, you get the expert treasure bag, which is mostly the same stuff, except that it will... Get away, zombie. It will always have the Shield of Cthulhu item, and if you're using a hardcore player, and only if you're using a hardcore player, you can also get 0x33's Aviators, which were, I think, recently added, or at least, obviously, well, expert mode's only on the updated platforms anyway. So the Shield of Cthulhu item, let's show you that. I'll have to open this. So you can see I actually didn't get any of the stuff just outside of that. I'll only get the stuff in the expert treasure bag because I'm playing expert mode, except that I did get some healing potions. I think sometimes you get stuff outside of the bag as well as in the bag, but basically the bag is going to contain a lot of your stuff if you're an expert. So I got my Crimtane ore, a good amount there. Got my Crimson Seeds, got my Lesser Healing Potion, and here is the Shield of Cthulhu. So let's put that on, and you can see it's displayed here. It's pretty big. And what the Shield of Cthulhu has, which is exclusive to expert, is a dash attack with the double tap. And that dash attack will actually do 30 melee damage and gives you momentary invincibility. It will basically negate melee attacks from your enemy. There you go, a couple dashes. That was a critical hit with my Shield of Cthulhu. And yeah, you can use that as well with the boots because I have the boots. You can see I can get up to full speed by using that dash. Like a lot of other things that give you dash ability as well, but this one functions not only as a dash itself, but as a dash attack. And yeah, it's actually a very useful item. It can be very useful in boss fights for dodging in particular. And yeah, I already beat this boss, and I had one of these already, and I have to say I quite like it, and it's very good for getting up to speed, and if you're going over rough terrain, to get back up to speed quickly and that kind of thing. So anyway, that's basically all I have to talk about. So hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.